There are many cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! We have an entire card to celebrate going past 10,000. Many of them are usable in Yu-Gi-Oh!'s only supported format, which most people simply call Yu-Gi-Oh! The ones that aren't usable are on the ban list, forbidden from play for being too strong or meta-defining. But what about cards that you can't use that aren't on the ban list? There are many reasons a card can fall into this camp, so let's talk about it. And if you like this content, be sure to subscribe. It really helps out the new channel. Let me know what you'd like to see me talk about in the comments below. Let's start with my personal favorite card that you can't use. So there's this card, you may have heard of it. It's Crystron Halqifibrax. I know, the salt is welling up in you, but this isn't about him. For those that don't know, this card leads to pretty extravagant end boards today, and could do a lot more if it just spammed out a second tuner. Next best thing is if it could spam out a tuner that summoned itself back. So many of the tuners that do that for free are now banned to keep Hulk in check. These include Glow Up Bulb, Steam the Cloak, and the man of the hour, Jet Synchron. Jet Synchron is a fun case study because it actually has a monster it's supposed to be used to summon, much like the other Synchrons. Here is Jet Warrior, a level 5 that needs Jet Synchron to be played and is therefore unsummonable. But wait, you may be commenting right now. What if you played Quick Draw Synchron? He can be treated as any Synchron tuner. Yes, very good point. I'll counter by saying it's pretty hard to use a level 5 tuner to summon a level 5 Synchro. You could use Level Eater, except for the fact that he's also banned, so now we need to get into the weird options. You could use Downgrade and just summon a level 1 non-tuner, but at that point, you're going through so many hoops that no one will ever play Jet Warrior at that point. I know for a fact very few of you knew that Downgrade existed. I know that's technically a way to play Jet Warrior, but there's no way you're actually going to jump through that many hoops and not just summon a much funnier option like Zushin. I'm only talking about cards that are almost completely unsummonable or unplayable. Not really hard to build an entire deck around. I won't be talking about Numeronius Numeronia, I'll be talking about Jet Warrior. Does that make sense to everyone? Good. Alright, on to the next. Here's a story we all know and love. A small boy has cancer. That's not the part that you're supposed to love. And his wish from the Make-A-Wish Foundation is to make his own Yu-Gi-Oh card. He loves Dragon Ball Z and makes his favorite character, Future Trunks, into a card for the game he loves so much. That boy survives and has the only copy to himself, like a real-life Kaiba. That man is Tyler, unofficial last name being The Great Warrior. I wonder if it's like a pimp named Slickback sort of deal, because if I ever were to meet this guy, you know I'd have to say the full thing every time I refer to him, even in like the first person. Anyway, that story has a big difference from reality, and I'll make a video on that soon. But what's important is the fact that Tyler the Great Warrior is a card you will literally never possess or be able to play in a tournament. He can. You can't. Literally just the anime, whenever someone busts out a card that has only been heard of in legend. I am so glad this exists in real life. On that same note, I can give a quick mention to prize cards in general. They're incredibly expensive, and if you have the money to buy these, why don't you stop by my Twitch and allow me to have one I really want? That'd be super cool if I just, like, had your money. That would be really cool. Like, that would be the best. That would be swell. That'd be Yoggers Puggers. Woo! But there's a specific branch of these cards that's a bit more interesting. Match winners. These cards really have text that you need to read twice to truly understand. If you lower your opponent's life points to 0, you win the match. Not the duel, the whole best 2 out of 3. Trust me, I read Victory Dragon for the first time and I was like, you win? Of course you win. Like, that's just how the Yu-Gi-Oh works. I didn't understand it until I, like, brought it to my dad who knew what a best 2 out of 3 meant. I have no idea how, at any point in my life, my father knew more about Yu-Gi-Oh than I did. But I appreciate it, Pops. Thank you very much. I can make a whole video on these, and I will. But the short story here is that after Victory Dragon, every single other match winner has stated explicitly that you can't use them in a duel. Yes, even the E hero. Fun fact, the E followed by the star does not mean it's an elemental hero, it means his name is Entertainment Hero Pit Boss, which sounds like a favorite member of the Mafia, if you could ever only pick one. Let's go back to my last point, illegal cards. This is the real juicy stuff. This is also where we get into illegal cards all of you have probably owned at some point, the first printing of the Egyptian gods. If you weren't around, it took a really long time for the gods to ever get like a legal printing, So all you had were these cards that were even colored on the back red, blue, and yellow. No way were these ever going to be played, since their text is complete and utter nonsense. The descent of this mighty creature shall be heralded by burning winds and twisted land, and with the coming of this horror, those who draw breath shall know the true meaning of eternal slumber. It sounds like something I'd want on my tombstone, not an actual monster effect. Granted, it does sound like text you'd find on a card named Obelisk the Tormentor. There are other original series promo cards in this camp too. The Duelist Kingdom cards. They have no effect aside from the fact that you're invited to a fictional tournament, which, to be fair, no other cards in the game do. Lastly, for this category, there's Card of Last Will, an anime card that got its effect changed when it was released and for some reason still has the text of cannot be used in a duel. Why even bother to make the card inaccurate? It's just when an attack changes. It's not when it goes to 0 like the real life says, but we had to nerf it and also say it's completely illegal. I don't know. I don't know the little Timmy meta of Legendary Collection Joey's World, but this confuses me to no end. Now for the funniest ones. These three cards, Creator of Hope, Winning Formula, and Creator of Miracles, have a cool story behind them that I'd love to make into another video. Yes, think of this video as like the Avengers, you know? Everyone here will get their own movie, so that this one makes the most sense, but it's still a cool collaborative effort. Except in this case, the Avengers movie is coming first, but, yeah, whatever. We'll still make $1 billion. These cards have the text, and they also make you scream. This is not a joke. Part of the effect is to make you scream. That's probably why they're not a thing in the real game. Imagine these being good, and now that one awkward dude who only watched the anime is now the correct player because he already screams and over-explains what all of his cards do. You know exactly who I'm talking about if you've ever been to locals. You know exactly who I'm talking about. The one motherfucker who probably has horrible acne. I know you're at a card game shop, so everyone does, but like especially so if I'm bringing it up. And this guy's going, I draw! I summon the Winged Dragon of Ra from my hand by tribute. You know that guy? That guy? I'm probably making the audio peak horribly right now, but I don't care. You need to know this impression. You need to know how correct I am. That guy being right is the worst timeline we could possibly be in. The next piece of text that I want to note is this card cannot be in a deck. Technically playable, but very funny that there's a distinction. There are legal play cards that can't be in your deck, extra deck, or side deck. You want to guess what they are? They're tokens. Counter cards that I'm sure you never existed and purely exist to be placed on top of cards with spell counters and the like when everyone just uses dice anyway. And command dual use cards. Those are an entirely different format that I covered, actually, a few days ago. Fun fact, the script says that it's in a video that I should cover, but this is, I actually did the Command Duel solo movie already, so poggers. The last two have different text, but they mean the same thing. These two cards are hilarious, but never, ever shall they be played in the real game. The second to last card we'll be talking about today is Get Your Game On! A prize card from the 2007 World Championships. Why am I covering this differently from the rest of the prize cards then? Easy. This one is only activatable if you were there. Yep, you cannot buy this secondhand online. You had to be there. Sorry, we have the most gatekeeping card in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! Fun little fact on this one, on simulators like EDO Pro, the thing you've been watching all video in the background, this is done by asking a question about the tournament from a pool of like 6 questions. You know, where was the tournament? Who won the tournament? That sort of thing. I brought this card into Photoshop and replaced it in my cards folder, so it had all the answers on the art itself, just to reference. It's like I'm cheating on a math test. I love it. And the last card here is the Upper Deck Seal of Orichalcos. This was its only printing. This is the only way you could play the huge anime card that literally mattered for an entire arc, was to get this version. And I'd think, if this is an accurate transcription of its effects, no one wanted to make this thing balanced over at Konami. This spell card is impervious to negation, destruction, and removal. Increase the attack power of all your monsters by 500. You control a back row of monsters that cannot be attacked while a monster is in the front row. I know this means the spell and trap zone, and you know it's using back row because Upper Deck uses like technical terms, but it's still very funny to see on a card. Send this card from your hand to the graveyard to negate and destroy any card. The soul of whichever duelist loses this is forfeit to the winner. Yeah, it eats souls. That's in the card text of a real card made by actual makers of a real game. The reason you can't play this is because it's literally the most powerful card in the game, able to take your opponent's very essence hostage for your own gain. They don't even see darkness anymore. They see nothing. They're gone, dude. They're a husk. You just hear, and then they collapse to the ground if you win that duel. I don't know what you do with their own soul, but please put it back. If you like this video, check out this one on why Goat format. I'm leaving that in. I don't care. Goat format hates a specific card. I guess that's one more card you can't play. Huh?